Let's take a look at weather and climate modification requiring the use of semiconductive aerosols. The arrow is pointing to a general area where the aerosols appear to be stationary. Even though the atmosphere appears to be dynamic, moving from west to east, we see that the metallic cirrus clouds almost look like toaster elements. Here's a demonstration of a bar magnet with a mineral oil suspension with iron filings. You can see how the filings line up between the poles, and even though the mineral oil can move around inside, the iron filings remain stationary. Now that we've established that these are man-made cirrus clouds with conductive properties, we can safely assume that these aerosols are part of a weather modification program. Let's turn our attention now to the second feature, explosive nature of the development of these storms that had to catch everybody by surprise and gave the victims very little opportunity to seek shelter in time. Notice the sudden appearance of these milky aerosol dumps that almost look like clones of each other, evenly spaced almost. Let's take one more look at this, then we'll go frame by frame. So, is it a coincidence that Moore, Oklahoma has suffered a powerful tornado for the third time? Judging from the nearly equally spaced pattern of the cloud formation, aerosol dumps, and the almost eye-wall appearance inside the cloud formations that look almost cloned one to the other, suggests that there's a ground-based installation that causes this repeated pattern of violent weather to appear right at this geographic location. Is it possible that the Department of Homeland Security is directing this operation just like they're directing Operation HAMP to control hurricanes?
Also in hurricane news, Obama ordered the DHS to control hurricanes. This is another story that we have reported and taken criticism for, and yet, as Melissa Moulton pointed out, we actually have the documents archived by the Washington Post showing that NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, acknowledged three things. One, that the Project Storm Fury existed. InfoWars has interviewed many times in the past Ben Livingston, a former Navy physicist who briefed President Johnson on the effectiveness of weather control back in the 1960s. And Livingston asserts that hurricane control was a national priority of the government more than 40 years ago, and that the technology is fully operational to control weather at the time. Also interesting in this document is the fact that NOAA has refused to participate in DHS's HAMP program. That's a Hurricane Aerosol and Microphysics program. In doing that, they turned down a $64 million project, and they've had their funding cut every year since. Now, the question I have, possibly you have too, is why is the Department of Homeland doing hurricane research? Are they just megalomaniacs trying to get their tentacles in every aspect of the government? I mean, that's something we should worry about, because wherever the DHS goes, we lose due process, we lose our freedoms, and they get more bureaucratic power. Or are they getting involved because they want to make disasters that they can then use as pretenses for gaining more power for the central government?
I want to show you chem dumps that are actually showing up on satellite imagery in Hurricane Sandy or Frankenstorm. These are not illuminated by the sun. This is the middle of the night. These are chem dumps that are being dumped in this storm. As you can see, there is also a persistent stationary chemtrail. One more time, as she emerges, she's hit with a chem dump to get her going again. Do you see the coastline of North Carolina, South Carolina, all the chemtrails that are fast and furiously put there on the edge of Hurricane Sandy? Now, just as she started to regain energy, these puffs of billowing smoke vapors that came out of her very near her eye were hot vapors. They were hot clouds, steamy clouds that were coming up out of it, forced out of it. Well, this is a temperature horizon polarization map. And heat shows up in red on this map. Okay? So we know that this little polarity here is red, so it's hot. And we know that it's causing this to become hot. It's agitating Sandy in her eye to become hot. When it lets go, she cools down. It's letting polarity. Now I would like to show you the direction from which that singular polarity came. It came from the east-southeast direction up here. Let me show you what's there. This is Arecibo Observatory. It is a TTA, it's a Tesla Tech array. It is capable of frequency of just about any range. It is one of the most enormous TTAs on the planet. It is capable of creating a massive polar singularity through frequency, through emitting frequency. This is Rev. Michelle Hopkins. Thank you for watching, everyone, and God bless you.